Are camels out of place in Bible stories? In this video we explore the controversial anachronism debate. As the ancient pages of the Bible come to life, a puzzling question emerges. Did Abraham and the next generation truly ride camels? Archaeological whispers hint the Bible may be wrong, igniting debates among scholars. Yet, hidden in the sands of time, a revelation awaits, a revelation that may reshape our understanding of Bible history. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel for more updates on exciting archaeological discoveries that show the Bible is true. One of the problems with how the Bible portrays history that atheists keep bringing up is the camels in Bible stories. Camels are mentioned in several Bible stories, particularly in the Old Testament. One of the notable stories where camels occur is from Abraham's time. When Abraham went to Egypt, Pharaoh gave him camels along with other livestock. Camels are also mentioned when Abraham's servant is sent to find a wife for Isaac. The servant's caravan included camels laden with gifts. One generation later, when Jacob decides to leave Laban's household, he departs with his wives, children, and possessions on camels. When he prepares to meet his estranged brother Esau, he sends a gift ahead, including a group of camels with various goods. And Jacob's son Joseph is sold by his brothers to a group of Ishmaelite traders who were traveling with camels. This event leads to Joseph's journey to Egypt. So clearly camels play an important role in the stories of the patriarchs in Genesis. Also later in Bible history camels occur. In the time of the Judges, camels are mentioned as part of the Midianite invasion. The Midianites riding on camels devastated the land of Israel. So what is the problem with that? Well, many critics cite research that states camels were not domesticated in Israel and Egypt at this time. This has led to headlines in the press like "Camels Don't Belong in the Old Testament" in Forbes magazine, and "The Mystery of the Bible's Phantom Camels" in Time magazine, and "Camels Had No Business in Genesis" in the New York Times. What is the evidence that the Bible stories about camels cannot be true? William Albright, the leading American archaeologist and biblical scholar who confirmed the authenticity of the Dead Sea Scrolls, argued already in the mid-1900s that camels were an anachronism. Historian Richard Bulliet of Columbia University explored the topic in his 1975 book, The Camel and the Wheel, and concluded that the occasional mention of camels in patriarchal narratives does not mean that the domestic camels were common in the Holy Land at that period. Some time ago a new study on camels in Israel again raised the age-old question of biblical accuracy. It has often been used to dismiss the historic reliability of the Bible, talking about phantom camels and one of many historically jumbled references in the Bible. What is this study? Dr. Erez Ben Yosef and Dr. Lidar Sapir Hen, scholars from Tel Aviv University's Department of Archaeology and Near Eastern Cultures, have harnessed the power of radiocarbon dating. This has allowed them, they claim, to precisely identify the point of time when domesticated camels entered the southern Levant, which includes Israel. Their groundbreaking research shifts the established timeframe from the 12th to the 9th century BC. Their hard work culminated in these eye-catching claims, which were shared in the journal Tel Aviv Journal of the Institute of Archaeology. The introduction of the camel to our region was a very important economic and social development, said Dr. Ben Yosef. By analyzing archaeological evidence from the copper production sites of the Arava Valley, we were able to estimate the date of this event in terms of decades rather than centuries. To pinpoint the introduction of domesticated camels in the southern Levant, Dr. Sapir Hen and Dr. Ben Yosef employed radiocarbon dating and other analysis techniques on findings from various digs, including those in the valley region. Their investigation consistently revealed camel bones in archaeological layers dating from the later part of the 10th century BC onwards. This time frame significantly postdates the era of the biblical patriarchs and even the reign of King David. Camels found in earlier layers likely belong to wild populations existing in the region since ancient times. Remarkably, camel bones appeared exclusively in sites active during the 9th century in the Arava Valley, with no traces in earlier sites. The emergence of domesticated camels in the Arava Valley seems to align with significant shifts in the nearby copper mining activities. A substantial number of mines and smelting sites were closed down. Those that persisted adopted advanced technology and centralized labor practices, as supported by archaeological findings. The scholars suggest that these alterations, possibly enforced by ancient Egyptians, accompanied their conquest of the region. Historical records from both biblical and Egyptian sources reference a military campaign that could have led to these changes and the introduction of domesticated camels. This study was used by the Tel Aviv University scholars as a double blow against the Bible, with a statement from the university saying, In addition to challenging the Bible's historicity, this anachronism is direct proof that the text was compiled well after the events it describes. So this is the background to the often repeated claims that the stories about camels in Genesis prove that Genesis is not historically accurate. But how strong are these claims? Let's dive in. It's important to note that nobody says camels were not domesticated in Abraham's time. Camels are believed to have been first domesticated between 3000 to 2000 BC in the Arabian Peninsula. There is archaeological evidence that indicates the gradual taming and utilization of camels for transportation, trade, and other purposes. The process of camel domestication revolutionized travel and trade in arid regions, as camels were well suited to traversing desert landscapes due to their unique physiological adaptations. The domestication of camels significantly impacted the cultural and economic development of various civilizations in the Middle East and beyond. So there is no argument there. The only thing claimed by the research is that camels were not introduced to Israel yet at that time, and that they only arrived in Israel after the time of King David. How big of a problem is this claim for people taking the Bible seriously? Actually, not very much. The first counterargument is this. In the Genesis stories, the Bible consistently portrays camels as coming from outside Canaan in its various mentions. Notably, Joseph's brothers journeyed to Egypt on donkeys without referencing widespread camel use or domestication in Canaan or Israel during that era. The abrupt appearance of camel bones at a later date in the southern Arava Valley's copper mining area doesn't deny the possibility of camels being used as pack animals by Abraham and his fellow nomads. Abraham's journey into the Levant took a northerly path, including a visit to Egypt, before returning to settle in the Levant for the remainder of his life. Abraham's camels came from outside Canaan. The second counterargument is this. The authors of the article make a far too wide-ranging conclusion based on an archaeological find in a limited area. They do not take into account earlier evidence about camels in Canaan and Egypt. Excavations done more than a century ago prove the use of camels in Egypt at least as far back as the First Dynasty. That predates Joseph by some 900 years or more, and King David by about 2,000 years. There is also a rock inscription found near Aswan, Egypt, that has a petroglyph showing a man leading a camel. It was dated to the 6th dynasty, which was from 2345 BC to 2181 BC. That is evidence of domesticated camels in Egypt centuries before Abraham, Joseph or Moses visited or lived there. The third counterargument is this. If there was no widespread domestication of camels in Israel early in history, this does not mean that there could not have been some camels as exotic animals. When Pharaoh gives camels as a gift to Abraham, it is possible that Pharaoh acquired these remarkable creatures through either a gift from an Arabian camel herder or through trade and barter. The Arabian connection is likely, because the earliest domestication of the dromedary camel is widely believed to have originated in the southern Arabian Peninsula. Actually, the Bible stories in Genesis give ample evidence that camels are regarded as a luxury. Let's look at just one example. Abraham's servant Eliezer embarks on a journey to Aram with the purpose of securing a bride for Isaac. His intention is to create a significant impression, which is evident as he selects the finest of Abraham's belongings and takes along 10 of his master's camels. Camels were a rarity in Canaan, making them a symbol of prestige. This choice allows Eliezer to arrive at Laban's household with a remarkable display, akin to presenting 10 luxury vehicles to escort a single young woman. The camel holds a unique place in this Bible story, as it is referenced 18 times. This repeated mention underscores the deep impression that camels left on Laban's household, conveying Abraham's opulence and status. So the occurrence of camels in this way in the story do not show it as anachronistic. On the contrary, it shows that the author of Genesis is aware of the luxury status of camels in the time of Abraham. And there is a fourth and final counterargument that is the clincher. Rather than contradicting Bible history, the study by Ben Yosef and Sapir Hen confirms it. The shocking discovery proving the atheist scientists wrong is to be found right in the Bible. In 1 Chronicles 5 verse 21, it's mentioned that the Israelites took 50,000 camels from the Hagrites during the time of Jeroboam's rule over the northern kingdom of Israel. Jeroboam, the first king of the northern kingdom, reigned for 22 years, approximately during the latter part of the 10th century BC. This is the period just preceding the first archaeological indications of widespread camel usage in Israel claimed by Ben Yosef and Sapir Hen. The Hagrites, the source of the Israelites' mega herd of 50,000 camels, resided to the east of Gilead and across the river Jordan from present-day Israel, in what is now modern-day Jordan. Interestingly, this location closely aligns with the region identified by the researchers mentioned in the earlier article, who pinpoint the Arava Valley in Jordan as the place of the initial notable presence of camels in the area. Thus, the Bible was exactly correct about the time, that is the same 30 years the two archaeologists mentioned, and the general location. What more can one ask for? We even have the story in the Bible of how widespread camel domestication in Israel started. Some people are very quick to find inconsistencies in the Bible. But frequently, those critical of the Bible's accuracy demonstrate a lack of deep familiarity with its contents. Camels in the Bible in earlier centuries all originated outside Israel, in line with the archaeological record. And the Bible even tells the story of how the Israelites got a large number of camels exactly in the period scientists now think widespread domestication of camels in Israel began.